My email password got hacked again. This is the third time I'm going to have to give the dog a new name in the last 6 months. Hey kids, Adam here. Today I want to show you how to quickly master one of your singles to release online on many streaming platforms such as Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, Napster. Did you know Napster is actually a streaming platform? The more you know. Anyway, I want to first start with a giant disclaimer. Just right here, put the word disclaimer in giant red letters. I am not a master engineer. What I'm going to show you in this video should not be a substitute for a mastering engineer. What I consider mastering is the final coat of sheen or polish or professionalism or finality on a song before it's released. It makes it sound professional, it makes it sound commercial. Now, your mixes should sound very, very, very good, but a mastering engineer should be able to take that and just put that extra coat of coolness on top of it. Where I'm going to use a mastering engineer versus doing it myself. If I'm releasing one song at a time and I'm putting it on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, or using it for a Facebook or a promo video, I'm going to run my process I'm going to show you here. If I'm releasing a work of art, an EP, an album, something for where a number of songs are using the same thing, that's where I'm going to hire a mastering engineer. The person doesn't necessarily need to be familiar with my music, because what their job is to take all of my different songs that I've taken over time and put them together and make it sound like one album. If you look at some of the most iconic albums of our time, AC/DC Back in Black, all the way to like Bruno Mars, whatever album Treasure's on, those songs on those albums all sound alike. They may have been recorded over multiple days, weeks, months, years, but they all sound similar. Now, they were mixed similar, they were recorded similarly, but the mastering process is really what gets those to sound the same. I'm not going to show you that. I don't want to take away from the years of work and dedication mastering engineers have put into their art. I just want to show you a very, very quick way that you can get your mix that you've worked so hard on mastered and released. So let's head over to Reaper. I'll show you what I'm doing here. All right, here we are over in Reaper. I have my very, very quick mastering project. What I do is I set up one song per track, one region per song, and I just kind of lay them out in layers like this. And what I do for this is every track has its own plugins, because every track is going to feel a little bit differently. And while I have a chain that I always use, sometimes, and most of the time I should say, I adjust small parameters within each song. We'll start with my master fader. I have two versions of VU meter, one with 11 dB of headroom, one with 18. And I have the Waves WLM Plus plugin, which will really give you the overall metering you need to know and need to focus on for releasing online. I'm not going to get into a lot of the terms here. There's VU metering, there's dBFS, and there's LUFS or LUFS. LUFS is what you really want to focus on for your online releases. I'm not going to go into what it means, but what you want to do is you want to aim between a -12 and a -14 LUFS rating. And this plugin is perfect for doing this. There are a number of other plugins from free to paid all over the internet. Find whichever one works for you best and go with that. So I'm going to work on this song called Get Up. This is one of the first releases that we've done as a band. And let's play it here just with no plugins. It's going to be a little bit quiet, so I'll turn it up in the actual video here. And that's just a real small clip. You'll notice the master fader peaks about 12 dB or so. The LUFS meter peaks, and it just went away here on me, thank you very much, at about -29. The -12 number coming in is fine. You want to make your mixes anywhere between, say, peaking at about -4 at the absolute high end, down to like -18. It really doesn't matter. Once you're in that range, Master Engineer has enough to work with. All right, so let's look at this WLM plugin first. A couple things you want to look at here to aim for that -12. And I'm going to aim for -12 here with the understanding that if it goes below, that's fine. I just don't want it to go above -12. Three things I want to do. Under the short max, I want to set it at -12. Under the target, I want to set it at -12. The true peak max, I want it -1 because I don't want it to ever go over there. And then the gain, I want to set it 1. and turn on the True Peak Limiter button here. That's all we need for this plugin. Next step is to look at each individual plugin on the tracks themselves. So if I bring my plugin chain in here, I start with EQ. I want to do very, 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 very small moves in my EQ and mastering. The reason for that is because you're affecting the entire mix here. And it's even more than a mix bus EQ, because you're going to compress this to the point where you bring everything up quite a bit. Like in mine, I'm going to be bringing this up probably 10 dB in volume. And when you do EQ moves, they are really, really, really exaggerated. So don't say, hey, 60 hertz sounds really cool with this thump, give it a 10 dB boost. I'm talking 1 and 2 dB moves here. The first one I do in this song, 125 hertz is what I found for that in between the kick and the bass to bring those frequencies down. I only do a 1 dB bump. Next, somewhere between 3 and 600, we'll say hertz, I want to pull out some of those kind of boxy, muddy frequencies. Here I found exactly 500 works for me, and I dropped 1 dB out of it. 500, actually you'll notice that these are my presets, and I very, very infrequently change from these. Every once in a while I will, but for this song I just stuck with them. Next band is a 1K, and I do a 1 dB bump there, and that's it. And then the final is a 3500, and I do a 2 dB bump just because I want to kind of bring out those kind of upper mids into the lower highs. A lot of people will be tempted to do a high shelf. I just found your cymbals and your sizzly things really, really stand out when you do that. So I prefer to use a peak bump here. Next step is a compressor. I've used a number of different compressors. The Waves H-Comp is really good. I'm finding this SSL comp works really well. And in this, I want to aim for a 3 to 4 dB of gain reduction at a 4:1 ratio, not too much. And I found mastering the auto release works really well. Bring your threshold down, bring your makeup gain to match. We don't want to add any volume in this step. So with the EQ and the compressor on, I'll play before and after. Everybody get... Last step then is a limiter. I'm using the L3 UltraMaximizer. In here I use all the defaults except for I set the out ceiling to -1. Again, I don't want that clipping at all. I want to hard limit it at -1. And then I bring the threshold down. I'm going to play this with the threshold all the way up, and I will bring it down. I want the attenuation over here, which is the gain reduction meter. I want that to very, very infrequently click. I will go to a louder section of the song, and I will do this here. So here we go. All right, that should be good. I like round numbers. I'm OCD like that. But really, you should be watching your meter and listening and making sure nothing clips. Even though we have the ceiling set on -1, if there's a really, really big peak in there, it has a potential to clip. You should have this all figured out in your mix, but just in case, make sure nothing's clipping in there. And it's okay for in the loudest section of the song for the gain reduction to come in. You actually want those things glued in a little bit better. What you don't want is you don't want to set this in a quiet part of the song and then it just crushes it to oblivion when it gets to the louder section. All right, so what I want to do here is hit the reset button on my WLM plugin, play through the song once through so it can figure out the long-term and short-term LEFS numbers. I know I could probably go to each different section and play these for a couple measures each, but this is more dramatic and this is kind of cool. So let's do this. All right, there it is. So you'll see the long-term LAFS here is -14. You probably saw a couple times where it peaked at -11. That's fine. That's going to be in the louder parts. Your streaming platforms are going to probably lower these anyway, and if they anytime they do peak, you just don't want to have them so the point where you put this at -6 and then you drop it down to -12, or you have it way down to like -20 and they have to artificially increase the volume. That's the main thing you don't want to do. So we looked at this through Waves plugins. Let's look at this through REAPER plugins, see what we can do. We're going to leave the metering the exact same. There's no REAPER's LUFS meter that I'm aware of. If there is, please let me know in the comments. So we'll go through and leave the same metering here and bring up the other project that I have here with REAPER plugins. So same EQ moves. I'm using ReaEQ as opposed to the Renaissance EQ from Waves. Band 1 here is at 125 with a gain of 1. Band 2 is 500 with a 1 dB cut. Band 3 is a 1K boost of 1 dB, and band 4 is a 3500 boost of 2 dB. Same exact thing. For compressor, I'm using ReaComp instead of ReaEQ. I set this is actually just the standard when you open it up, and plugin manufacturers know what they're doing, especially things like the guys from REAPER. When you first open up REAPER, if you really want like a default compressor, change the ratio to 4:1, leave everything else the same, and you'll get really, really good results. The only thing I did is I clicked auto release here, try to simulate a little bit what the SSL comp was doing, and then I brought down the threshold to hit somewhere in that 3 to 4 dB of gain reduction. And we'll play it here without the limiter on. Everybody get. And there it is. It's probably was a little hot to begin with. I backed it off by almost half a dB. And then you want a limiter of some sort. There are a number of them built into REAPER. I chose the absolute simplest one I could find, this JS Event Horizon Limiter Clipper. I set the ceiling at -1, and I set the threshold the exact same number I did with the other one at -16 just to see if it would work. And sure enough, it sounds very, very similar. So here's this. Everybody get. So what I'll do is I'll show a comparison of the REAPER plugins versus the Waves plugins. You'll notice they actually sound very, very similar because this is really not supposed to change the tone of your sound as much. This is supposed to put that polish on. So I'll start with the Waves one, or start with the REAPER ones, go back to the Waves ones, and I'll put up some down here somewhere, little text thing that shows which one is on which. Here we go. Everybody get. All right, so there you go. Here's what I do to master a song as fast as possible. Again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I'm not a master engineer. I want to get it to sound really good so that I can release it as a single. And then when I get my further bodies of work, EPs, albums, things like that, that's when I want my master engineer to really come in and step in and save the day and really make things shine. So if you like this video, please click the like button, subscribe, share it, click the little bell thingamajigger, doer, jobber. And if you want to support me by buying a Coke or buying me a Coke, I mean, you could buy a Coke for you and let me know about it, and that would support me because I like when other people like Coke. But there's a link to buy me a Coke down in the description. Until next time, have a great week. Hey, it's Adam. Let's talk about REAPER. My friend Mike started his channel in October 2020. He's very, very close to reaching 1,000 subscribers. Let's try to get him there, shall we? He's funny. He's short and he's funny. And he has a big beard. He likes coffee. He has an awesome dog. And he talks about REAPER. So let's get him there. Look at the card up here. Click on that. Like right now. No, don't keep looking at me. Go click on the card. Right now, you're still looking at me. You should have clicked on the card by now. Go find about REAPER. Really stop. You gotta stop looking at me. You need to go. All right. More themes from Strange Dreams. Blah, 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 blah. All right, pause here. Got to do this section over because my big dumb slippers are on my feet. All right, so there you go. Mastering in, how many minutes are we? 10, 11, 15, 28? Not really sure. Now I got to do this thing about Mike. Everything's about Mike.